Morning. Hope all of you are doing well. It's another pretty day out here. It's like 7:30, 7:45, somewhere around there. You can hear the birds chirping. No clouds. It's a good day. I meditated some last night. It was nice. I haven't done it in a few days, so it was good to get back in touch. And it gave me a couple ideas of some things to talk about today. So I'm hoping to be a little busy. This first lesson, I feel like it's going to be a good one. I'm going to share a little bit of my experiences, and I'm going to go into some more advanced things in the occult. I've already talked about how there's dark forces. They'll attack you. I'll talk about how they'll try your patience, try to get you to act out of character. And this will tie in to this lesson. There is an attack, a ritual, with a specific name. One that is designed to embarrass you, make you an embarrassment. Many times, these dark occultists, they will precipitate the attack. Remember the lesson I did earlier on precipitation. And they'll do this through your dream, an astral attack of precipitation. Throughout my whole life, I face these attacks. Some of the more milder ones, and I'll bring up this example. When I was a kid, especially in middle school, I used to have these dreams. They would seem so real at the time. I would be sitting in my desk in class with my classmates, and we're talking and conversing, conversating. And then I would look down, and my pants would be gone. I'd be in my underwear. And then the bell would ring. The classmates would get up, all my friends, the girls in class, and I'd feel so embarrassed. I wouldn't know what to do. I didn't want to get up and have everyone see me in my underwear. So I would sit there in my shame as everybody walked around me looking at me. I feel like that's a common dream, a common humiliation ritual. You see it in TV shows. I'm pretty sure I remember there was an episode of Doug. I used to watch that show a lot as a kid, where he had a wild dream like that. You very much could have been under a humiliation ritual attack with a dream like that. What would be the purpose? Well, in that specific example, how I said I sat there in shame, embarrassed, that was the purpose. For I'd wake up the next day, and that feeling would still be looming. In those years, I was so under the spell that I would have felt that energy all day long, subconsciously. Well, how does one defend themselves from an attack like that astrally in the dream? Well, take some development, for sure. You need to be able to get yourself to the state where you can lucid dream. The point where you can realize that, oh wow, I'm in a dream. And then you can control, react, speak. That was the big one for me, to be able to speak in the dream. Have you ever had a dream where you were under attack and you tried to scream and you go, and you can't make any noise? That was an attack. No, when I finally got the strength and leveled up, as they say, to the point where I could speak in my dream, or I could say, hey, I don't like that. Or I could turn things around and laugh at the people who were laughing at me. I began to flip the humiliation ritual astrally. All right, that was the precipitated attack. Remember, in my precipitation lesson, I told you how they will do these things before a real attack to get you to begin to mentally accept what is coming, what is going to happen to you, what they want to happen to you. We have to remember, these dark occultists do not blatantly attack you outright. They operate in shadow, okay? If they just attack you outright, then it is obvious to both you and the world who the aggressor is. And the whole objective and point is for them to attack you and it look like you. All right. So I made that point. They're going to attack you in your dreams before they do a real attack in the 3D. If they can successfully do it in the dreams multiple times, they'll feel more than confident about getting at you in the 3-dimensional. I've had some in the 3D where people came up to me in parks, especially now that I'm a dad, and will try to distract you. And it's more so than just somebody trying to talk to you, right? We have to use our discrimination, our intuition, our discernment. Sometimes people are just talking to you. You should always pay attention to your kids. But there are other times when it's obvious that someone is trying to really distract you so they can get you in a predicament. Make it look like you're a bad parent. Maybe there's somebody with a camera nearby. They'll catch you on film looking a certain type of way. And then they'll use that footage to distort the community's perception of you. Okay? Some of them are more sinister than that, though. And you must stay sharp. Some of them, if you don't react the right way, I will say, could be the end of your life. Indeed. I'm going to go over the worst humiliation ritual I went through, and thank God, praise God, I listened to him and his word, for if I hadn't, it could have been my last day. I'm around 16 years old. We were living in a suburban neighborhood out in Effingham County. My mom's at the neighbor's house, and I needed her for something. I think maybe I needed her to take me somewhere. I didn't have a driver's license at the time. I didn't get my license till I was 18. My folks didn't want me to drive until then. Anyway, all right. So I go over there. She's hanging out at this neighbor. He lives on a crossroads. Fitting, right? In the neighborhood. So I go there, and she's over there. She's hanging out with him and his old lady. They weren't married, but they lived together at the time. Nothing wrong with that, but that's just describing, what the situation was. Anyway, so she's sitting at the table. They had a long dining room table. She's sitting at the end, the head of the table. His old lady sitting next to her. And he's in there kind of standing around talking. He talked a lot. And he was drunk. He drank a lot too. Had a big old protruding, greasy beer belly. Always drinking some cheap beer. Smoked a lot too. So the house reeked of cigarettes. Anyway, he sees that I'm there. And he goes, "Well, Matt, why don't you sit down? I'm going to tell you something." Okay. I sit down. He then pulls out a pistol. Starts showing me the gun. I've never really been big into guns. Not that I have anything against them. I just don't really... It's not really my hobby. But he's showing off his pistol. Takes out the magazine. It's got a loaded clip. Puts it back in. And he begins to go, there's been a series of break-ins in the neighborhood. Some kids been breaking into cars and stealing stuff. I say, yeah, I heard about that. And I had heard about that. I have no idea who was involved. Wasn't me. And it wasn't people that I knew. Just something that I heard about. Anyway, I'm still sitting there in the chair. He's kind of, pacing in front of me with his pistol. He goes, I don't think you did it, but I know you know who did. He starts getting a little more aggressive with his tone. He advances closer. I'm starting to feel a little more uneasy. I said, I don't know who did it. Because I'm telling the truth. I don't know who did it. No, that wasn't a good enough answer for him. He goes, no, I know you know who did it. And you're going to tell me. And then he, cocks the gun and points it to my head, pressing the barrel onto my temple. And he says, I could blow your fucking brains out. I sit there in silence. My heart is pounding. And I remember a voice telling me, don't move. Don't do anything. Don't move. Don't speak. I sit there in silence. Pretty long 30 seconds. After the 30 seconds pass, he pulls the gun off my head. And I look and my mom's sitting there, doesn't say a word, just watching me. So I get up and I walk out the door. I didn't say a word. And I walk home. That happened later in the evening, so Dad was home by then. I figured I was going to go home and tell my dad about what happened. I was thinking maybe he would say something, maybe call the police, because I'm pretty sure what had just happened to me was illegal. So I go home, and I tell my dad that the guy that Mom was hanging out with just put a gun to my head, a loaded gun to my head. Said he was going to blow my brains out. My dad looks at me as if he's mad at me and says, "Yeah? Well, you probably fucking deserved it." At that point, I thought that there was no hope for me, really. And I turned around and I run down the street. I'm crying. And I'll be honest, that was probably one of my darkest times. I think at that point I really did start to question God. But God protected me then. It wasn't my best moment questioning God like that, but He still protected me. Because see, had I reacted in the wrong way, I think that man would have blown my brains out. And I think he would have claimed self-defense. And he would have had 2 witnesses there. One of them being my mother. That man was a weirdo. A couple years later after that, he ends up getting arrested for molesting a neighborhood girl. And then that same neighborhood girl committed suicide. Lodge people are weird. You know? I always wondered why my folks had a hard time keeping like normal friends, families that I felt like genuine love, because we ran into some of those from time to time. They didn't want to stick around with my folks long. And I don't mean to make this story about that, just to show an example of how serious the humiliation ritual can be and how important it is to listen to God's voice. And sometimes that voice is telling you to don't do anything at all, because it could save your life. And sometimes later, when you're in your 30s, it's telling you to tell the story so that you could give others hope. Good luck out there, guys. God bless you.